Well, I want to welcome everybody to today's Entrepreneur Show. My name is Heidi Richards Mooney, and I am your host and the founder of the EntreprenHerShow.com. For the next few weeks, we will be focusing on the Office Depot Foundation Women's Symposium and what you can expect when you attend. I have the honor of interviewing many of the speakers, the founder, Mary Wong, and even some of the other supporters of this long-standing, life-altering conference for women. So today, Cary Caster joins us to talk about her company, the Women's Symposium, and what you can expect when you attend and when you attend her program. Let me tell you a little bit about Cary. Cary Caster is a botanist, licensed massage therapist, and clinically certified aromatherapist, and the founder of 21Drops. Her expanded knowledge and passion for aromatherapy and medicinal plants and their effects on the body chemistry includes an understanding of Eastern medicinal practices and the healing abilities of the 5-element theory of traditional Chinese medicine. Wow, say that 5 times fast. She believes that people can take their health and wellness into their own hands by incorporating the healing benefits of therapeutic quality essential oil blends. So welcome, Cary.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so thrilled. I'm very interested in this topic. And so I was doubly pleased when you said you would be willing to be interviewed. So tell us a little bit about your background, how you first got interested in aromatherapy and essential oils and the whole genre of this self-help and wellness, and what experience led you to that?
Yeah, sure. So as a child, I was somebody who loved being out in nature. I grew up on Miami Beach and with beautiful tropical plants. And I was actually a very shy, quiet child. And I found a lot of solace climbing trees, being out in nature, being athletic. And when I was 16, I did an Outward Bound course, which is more popular these days. But when I went, it was, in the middle of the desert in Utah for 3 weeks. And when you're out and about and you're a little bit spiritual and a little esoteric like I am, you really get a profound connection to nature. And when I came back to the States, I was looking to go to school and college, and I realized I just knew I needed something that was outside. I knew I had to find a profession that kept me outdoors, which is my passion, and also I just really felt this connection. So I studied plant science, I studied botany, and realized that I could actually get a job working in a botanical garden, which is basically a walking encyclopedia of plants collected from all over the globe. And when I was working down at Fairchild Tropical Garden, which is where I got my first job down in Coral Gables, I was fortunate that it's also a research facility. And I was exposed to a lot of traveling professors from different research institutions across the country that were actually coming through the Miami area down to the tropics to collect and gather medicinal plants to bring back to their laboratories to research and learn about some of these remedies from the tropical forests. And I realized that so many of these plants that they were studying, not only for their beautiful flowers and their agronomic uses, they were also for the medicinal uses. And I also just always was fascinated how in the middle of the forests for thousands of years, these people in all cultures learned how these plants were good for what purposes. And very few people today even realize so much of our modern medicine. I think they say over 80% of our modern medication is derived from these active components of the plant material that were, learned about from these indigenous cultures. So that set me on a further journey to graduate school. And then Quite frankly, I just got exposed in my travels. I actually took a trip around the world then with 14 ports of call. It was called Semester at Sea. They do still offer that program. But I actually had already graduated my undergraduate degree and did it as a graduate student, which is a little more unusual. So I had a set agenda because I was very fascinated with Chinese medicine, the whole philosophy that every plant has a use, and it was just a matter of time through thousands of years finding out what that use was. And so that always interested me. And basically studied ethnobotany, which is the use of indigenous plants across the globe by all cultures. And then, lo and behold, I came back to the US after 100 days around the world. And the gentleman I was dating at the time, who proposed and is now my husband of 31 years. So my graduate studies got cut a little bit short, but at the same time, I started being more self-taught in herbal medicine, in aromatherapy, and upon raising my children, it was no question that I was going to raise them only using herbal remedies, essential oils, and tinctures and things of that nature. So I went further on to study essential oils, again, self-taught in the beginning, but then I realized I knew a lot about the plant world, but I didn't know about the body. So in 2000, I decided to get my massage licensing because I wanted to understand, you know, I knew the botany, I knew the chemistry of the oils, but I never had any physiology of the body. And so I wanted to understand this melding and how these essential oils really affect the body, or how the herbs really affect the body, as much as I could in that short year. So I went ahead and got my massage license. Of course, that distracted me in all kinds of other modalities between cranial sacral and reflexology, and I did some shamanistic weekends and all kinds of AIA stretching, everything. I'm also somewhat athletic, so I was interested in all aspects of the body and the musculature. It was really in 2002, 2003 that my husband and I decided we both have the wanderlust anyway of travel. So we decided to up and move to London for 1 year with our children. Our 3 children were a little bit grown at that point. And it was really when we decided all the arrangements were made that night I'm sitting here online looking at aromatherapy certification in London, because at that point I already knew the schools, the certification programs, the standard of practice using essential oils is much more developed in England and Europe than it is or was back in 2002 in the United States. So lo and behold, I was able to sign up for a course, an aromatherapy certification course within walking distance of where we were living, with Gabriel Moget, who incorporates this 5-element Chinese theory of using the oils and bringing balance into the patterns of disharmony within the structure and function of the body. So, you know, it was like melding of all, I was like, you know, I always say it was meant to be. It was most exciting, and needless to say, it was a full year certification, case studies, homework assignments, and exams that are much more involved than what we consider sometimes here in the States. Somebody says they're certified and, you know, they take in a 3-day weekend course. So I've had thousands and thousands of hours. I went on to be even more advanced in my studies, and also doing a clinical certification in France for 1 full summer back in 2007. So, so my knowledge is quite extensive. I'm just one of these people that likes to understand the hows and the whys, not just to take it for face value. I do understand basic chemistry, so I enjoy looking at the GCMS reports and understanding the chemical components and how they affect different parts of the body. I love reading research papers and technical papers, so that actually interests me. So I do take it to a whole nother level, and really So that's really my background. That's sort of what got me on the path, is just really the fascination with the plant world, wanting to learn more and understand how these plants really do work on a cellular level.
So then how did that, and obviously that background is what led you to develop your company. So tell us how your company evolved from all of that, your 21 Drops, and what your company does, and the products you offer, and maybe some of the services. In other words, what kind of problems do you solve for the people who?
Yes, so that was really the thing for me. I came back to the States after all these years of study, and I'd get excited if a new aromatherapy product came on the market, and then I'd look at the ingredients, and then I'd get discouraged. It had alcohol, it had perfume, it had other, non-natural ingredients. I'm like,
Dyes, yeah, dyes,
yeah. So it was just,
all of those.
yeah, it was just like really frustrating. And I like, aromatherapy deserves better. There's really no reason why you can't have high quality essential oils just in a carrier oil. They can be very stable, or you produce as needed, small batches. And I just really wanted to make it simple for the average consumer, because the more educated I became, the more I realized I did do things incorrectly. Upon taking my first certification course, I'm like, oh my God, what did I do to my children? So, I was using oils neat straight out of the bottle. I wasn't diluting them safely. My daughter in fourth grade, my oldest, who's now 29, when she was in fourth grade, she broke her leg, and I was using birch, which has high eugenol, which I hear is very hard on the liver to break down. I was like pouring it on because, it's good for bones. A little is good. She's got a broken leg. She needs more. I'm like, no, that's not the way these things work. And so the more educated I became, the more frustrated I became with the lack of education, and realizing, I loved bergamot, and I put bergamot on as like a perfume, and then I went out in the sun and I got a burn on my neck because bergamot is photoreactive. So I had unfortunately, a little too many case studies of my own family, my own self, that I was like, how do I make this easy for people? I'll take all those years of learning, because there are a lot of multi-level companies out there. But they don't require education, and there's a lot of misinformation in the industry. So my objective was just to make these oils safe and simplified for direct problem solution. So if you have a headache, use headache. If you have digestive issues, use digest. If you're congested, use decongest. So they're really simplified question answer solutions. And from my, I guess I passed over a period in time when I did have my massage license, and when I did come back to London, I had my own private practice where I would have consultations with individuals, and so I would make the blends for them for the massages. And so I went through that for many years. And so when I decided to make 21 Drops, I had a lot of reference of years of people and clients and family and friends of what were the main concerns, what are the main conditions that people wanted support, that were natural. I don't make any strong claims. They're all suggested claims. I know it's a very fine line with essential oils about that. And so I just wanted more for the everyday concerns, helping people just to shift the way they're feeling. And so that was really the premise behind 21 Drops. We do offer also to the spa industry professional concentrates that they incorporate into their massages as well. So there's the retail, that's direct to consumer, that they just roll on the blend. They're all in a safely diluted, safely blended. So all the guesswork about the best oils for that particular condition are already taken care of. So it's aromatherapy on the go, already done, ready to go.
And 21 Drops, how did you come up with that name?
Well, you're not the first person to ask that. And there's a couple reasons. One, we are a 21st century approach to health. I think more and more, it's, statistics are there that aromatherapy is making tremendous headway because it is extremely effective. Essential oils are extremely effective if you're using good therapeutic quality. The other reason it is called 21 Drops is more on a personal note. I did take my list of 21 ailments that I wanted to address, but I did want layers of meaning. To me, at that point in my life, I was 50 when I started the company, and life to me is always about creating meaning. I have 3 beautiful children, a wonderful loving husband, a wonderful family, wonderful friends, but I got to a place in my life where, how do we create meaning in everything that we do? And I certainly wanted to impart that on in my company that I was creating. So I did a lot of numerological studies and used a dear friend of mine who studied tarot and astrology and numerology. And she helped me to write a list of the meanings of the different numbers, 1 through 21. And then I had my list of ailments that I wanted to address. So there really was a very particular mixing and matching, or I should say matching, of the particular ailments with the number and their meanings, as well as the colors behind the line. And number 21 in particular is all about the world and manifesting. So for me, it seemed most appropriate that 21 Drops was about manifesting my lifelong study of essential oils to the world. And so 21 Drops, being that it is a 21st century approach to health, was also a way for me, also being extremely shy, to step out into the world with all that I know and feel so strongly to be true.
That's wonderful. I love that. Beautiful story. So tell us about your ideal customer. Who uses or would be most inclined to use your product?
Well, the most ideal client, of course, is everyone, because the oils just are so nurturing and healing in so many ways. But of course, our most likely candidate is the person who eats organic and is making those changes in their life. They want to get away from medications and poor choices, and trying to be more holistic in their approach. Essential oils are certainly a great alternative to a lot of the over-the-counter medications. Again, I'm not prescribing or diagnosing at all. It's just about supporting the body, and that's why I love essential oils so much. It's about building the body up. Most of our modern medications today are hiding the symptoms or masking the symptoms rather than nourishing the body, helping build the body up and making the body stronger in areas we know are weaker. We're not all created equal, and we know we all have our imbalances and our genetic makeup and certain things. We all handle stress differently in different parts. Some, have a racing heart, some get a knot in their stomach, some people, have cramping. We all address these things differently, and so the oils, when you have many choices, it helps you to narrow in and choose things that are more beneficial to helping your imbalances. So really, of course, our real demographic for essential oils is the 25 to 35-year-old, and new mom, certainly, just like myself. I didn't want to put any chemicals on my children or give them any medication. So the person who's more aware in that regard about doing things as naturally as possible is usually the one who is seeking out essential oils or herbal medicine to combat those issues.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about how people find out about your company. How do you market? Because I think that most people listening to this are entrepreneurs, and we all want to know little tricks or different tips to help us to promote our own business. Not saying that what you do would definitely be what someone else would do, but maybe it would incite or inspire them to do something a little differently. So how do you market 21 Drops?
Yeah, so right now our main market stream is really through independent sales reps who already have relationships with a lot of the spa industry, because we found them to be our most consistent retail venues. We do a lot of online marketing. To be honest, I'm happy to share my journey because it hasn't been a straight, easy line climb up. We've been on a bit of a roller coaster, so there is a lot of learnings in that area. So marketing is a very tricky balance, especially when you're trying, like myself, to reposition essential oils. My whole idea was like taking it off the bottom of the health food store shelves and making it more mainstream. And of course, I made this beautiful beauty packaging, and really it's a wellness product. So there was this years of trying to find our proper niche. We did always feel, though, that our online presence of our own website would be a stronger revenue stream, and we're really still just rebuilding that piece up. Of course, in using essential oils or using anything, and that's quite frankly why the multi-level companies are so doing so well, is because it's so much of it is testimonial. Like, oh my God, I used this and it really did get rid of my headache, or I had stomach aches and this really did help my stomach ache go away. So using essential oils is a lot about testimonials and people having the firsthand experience of using the oil. So for us, the online marketing and Facebook, Instagram, all those social online revenues or revenue streams or outlets are beneficial. I don't think we've developed them to the best of our ability yet, and we're working on that. And we've done a lot of reworking, a lot of new positioning with that. So, it's you know what I always keep saying: if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it, right? So. So we're still working it through, and a lot of successes, but a lot of challenges as well. And, the whole idea is to see what's working and go with that. And if it's not working, make changes quickly so we don't lose too much headway.
I agree. And I think that's what the success of any marketing is. Sometimes people will keep throwing money into a program that's not working, as opposed to finding one that's going to work. And it does take trial and error. I can't say that, you read about all these marketing gurus who tell you all these things that, you have to do this. It isn't that you have to do anything. You have to do what's going to work best for your company and your audience, because you have a product and you have an audience. And you may have a similar product to someone else, but your audience may be different. So you have to market differently than maybe someone else who's doing something who is selling the same product, which is why it's so important to know who your audience is and the most ideal. That, I think all of in many companies, everybody could be a customer.
Mm-hmm.
The challenge with that is then you're not marketing to one individual and you're not speaking to one person. So it's good when I have a 45-year-old woman who's a solopreneur who has 2.1 child, or what I mean. That's how you get really good at the marketing message. So I think that's
it's true. Initially we did focus a little bit more on the yoga community, thinking that those who, as they call it, low-hanging fruit, they get it, they use it, but they tend to also be the more do-it-yourselfers, and we're really focusing on the busy mom who's like, I bought all these things, but I have no idea what I'm doing and how to use them. I just want to grab and go. And so we did some shifting, and that was a big part of I can't say wasted energy, but area where we spend probably a little too long time and energy, and realizing really it is the mom on the go who wants high quality. That is one thing that we do focus on in our brand, because I do spend extra money, self-imposed testing that is done rarely in the essential oil field for what's called GCMS testing, this gas chromatography mass spectrometry. It's really the only way you know that your oils are of an utmost quality. And so we do speak to that quite a bit, because you're not going to have efficacy without quality.
Right.
So in doing that, we do find we are in Four Seasons, Ritz-Carltons. We have attracted those higher end retailers but it's also, not necessarily a volume, large, broad audience that you're reaching to. So it's just a mixture. You have to broaden your base a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. I think I agree with you. And I like the fact that what I love about your company is, and this is what we should all be doing, is making it easy for a person to make a decision. Because as you said, we're all very busy. And when we have to sit there and read for hours and hours and hours, instead of finding experts like you who've done all that work, and say, hey, this is really good for headaches. This has proven to help headaches compared to this product or whatever. That's what the big brands do, and do it very well. So I applaud you for that. I think that's
thank you.
I'm definitely going to look at it, because I know there's some areas that I have a friend who suffers tremendously from headaches, and she has tried aromatherapy, but I'm sure she hasn't tried that high grade that you have, because if she had, I'm sure that she would probably see different results. So, I think that when you talk about that, as a lay person, and I'm going to buy aromatherapies and I love them, I would not know that there's different levels of
quality
if I weren't educated to some degree by talking to you. So I think that that's probably your mission, is to educate people so that they know that out there that they can get a much higher quality. I mean, you're probably not, it's probably, that would be, in my opinion, your, the foothold you would have over a company that's selling an aromatherapy product for maybe a lot less money, but also a lot less effectiveness. So, yeah, I think you get what you pay for. That's the bottom line.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about your program at Office Depot. What you're going to talk about a little bit, not without giving away too much, just like encapsulate, what you're going to talk about, and maybe what people can expect when they attend, and maybe a couple of takeaways from your program. What you hope people can take away from it.
Yeah, so this year I was asked to be part of the health and wellness panel. So I think I just have, not a very long time, and it is a very tricky thing to say a lot of, a lifetime of study in a very short amount of time. But my main goal is really just to even tell people what essential oils are, because as much as the word aromatherapy and essential oils have been bouncing around these days, very few people know exactly what they are. So I think just educating people, what is an oil? Where does it actually come from, and how do you begin to know what it's good for? So really just some of the basics, which I think people take for granted, and they talk about it, but they really don't always know really what the oil, where oils come from. And the reason I did that was, a couple months ago when I was thinking about the program, I did a talk to 50 women that were from all over the country for a pretty prestigious, educated group of ladies. And I just asked them, does anybody here know what essential oils are? And 3 people raised their hand that they did. So I know, because I'm in it so much, and I deal a lot with massage therapists and spa accounts, that everybody, at least knows what they are or have heard of them. But I was really taken aback. So I think this group is going to be more of that nature. So I thought, just start with the basics at this point, and if they want to learn more, they'll reach out and take it to the next level.
Well, it's kind of like, it's in my business. I do a lot in social media and internet marketing, and everybody and their brother claims to be a social media internet marketer, but they haven't had the 15 years of education that I've had or experience. But they call themselves, they figure if they can, they've got 500 or 1,000 or 1,500 or 5,000 followers, that they're a social media expert, and they're not. I have this one woman who's been teaching this online class, and she's only got like 300 Twitter followers. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, maybe they're highly niche, but I looked at the people and they weren't. And I said to myself, well, why would I take her seriously if she doesn't even have people taking her seriously on the social media that she's teaching? So, and those are the kind of things to look at. And so I think your education is important, and stressing that, and stressing, the obviously people know on a a lower level, that there are medicinal purposes or medicinal benefits of, or health benefits, I should say, of using essential oils and aromatherapies. But I could tell you, I couldn't explain it to someone without having someone like you explain it to me first. That's not my area of expertise, and nor would I. So I thank you for that. Let's talk a little bit about the Office Depot Symposium itself. Well, why do you think, or why is it important for women to attend?
I just know for myself that I've been a member of different women's groups in the past, and I just find no matter what, whenever somebody else is speaking, I can always relate to something they're saying, but maybe not put it in those words specifically. And, I think just women supporting women businesses, I think we all share so many common concerns and goals and problems and solutions. So I think whenever you can get together with people who have been there and done that, I just wish I had the opportunity to search out even more people who had been there and done that in what I'm doing. So I'm always happy to help people. I was in the car this past week with somebody who's just getting started, and it was a 3-hour drive there and 3-hour back, and she was like, the whole time it was my pleasure, and I only hope that I can gain the same thing from hearing other people. And I think we all have our little areas that we're better in or more well-versed. And whenever we can hear the summary of people who've been spending their lifetime studying something like yourself with social media, I can't possibly, I could read an article or, several different things, but to be in a place for a couple days where one after the other, I know I've been to many aromatherapy conferences. I go every year. And, I would never miss it. I have the ability to hear people speak on just one aspect that they spend their entire, lives focusing on, just one oil even, and how profound it can be. So the same is true with all aspects of business. Everybody has their own angle, and everybody has something, their own story and their own journey that, it's a blessing to be able to hear everybody speak about how it's worked for them.
Absolutely. So what do you personally hope to gain from attending and participating in the Office Depot Foundation Women's Symposium?
Well, I just, as mentioned, I hope to hear about other people's journeys, what's worked for them, what hasn't, so I can hopefully avoid some of those roadblocks if I haven't already gotten there. I've got my own a bit of advice certainly to share with others, but whatever advice you can get from certainly people who are successful, that's always the best thing. So yeah, I'm really excited to hear all the speakers and gain whatever I can, bits of information and things I can implement in my own business or share with other people. I love hearing other people speak, and if it has no relation even to my business, I still glean new insights, whether I share it with my children, my family, my friends, or somebody else doing something similar.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about time management, because I think that as entrepreneurs and as women in general, we juggle so much. We're always trying to, we always have a ball in the air and catching one, and maybe one falls once in a while. And I think that when we see successful entrepreneurs like you, women are always wondering, well, how does she do it all? So what are some of your tips? What are some of the things that you do to help you manage your day so that you can fit all the things that you really want to do? Because obviously it sounds like you're at that place where it's not your first career. So
yes.
You're doing something you really love, you're passionate about, and you still, I'm sure, have other interests as well.
Yeah. Well, I definitely do feel fortunate that I was able to spend the majority of my time being a mother with my kids and having by appointment business while they were the bulk of their growing up. But at that same time, my husband is, it's like, I was wanting to slow down and travel more right now, and you're just getting your business started. So there definitely is that balance of figuring it out. But I find that One, I'm happier when I have that certain sense of accomplishment. My husband certainly knows that I raised my kids and have been studying this my whole adult life, so why not put it to good use? So that's the tricky, but everybody here in my office knows not to plan anything before 10 o'clock because I do wake up and play tennis almost every morning from 8 to 9. I have my set hour. I play a very hard game. I grew up playing, so it's my sanity. It's my mental release, my physical and mental release. So that is something I adhered to. And, I just got to whack that ball, so that I can come and sit at my desk for the rest of the day. And then I always, try to make the effort to get home, have dinner. And then, my husband, he goes to bed relatively early as far as I'm concerned. So I can then sneak back. And if I have things to wrap up at the end of the day, certainly in today's world with the computer, you can, sneak a 5-minute break and just get caught up and at least weed through your junk mail. And, it's a lot easier to balance with everything being so handy. Although it can, rule your life. Sometimes I just say every Sunday, I'm not going to look at my device at all.
Yeah.
That's harder to do than I would like to admit, but I do make the effort, and, it is a balance.
It is.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and you set your own rules, which is good, because I think some people think that they've got to do everything because everybody expects that of them. So you're a good example.
Yeah, I must say the first few years were really, really demanding. It was, there was never an off time, but I've learned better to manage that piece and, try to keep a better balance.
Good.
Yeah.
So what books are you currently reading, or would you recommend?
Well, you know what? It's very interesting because I think all things happen for a reason. I guess it was Christmas break or Thanksgiving. I was having a really nightmare. It was Thanksgiving going into the holidays, and I was having terrible, terrible production issues with things, getting all these things ready for the holidays, and a lot of disappointments on things out of my control. And it just so happened I brought Shoe Dog, the story by Phil Knight, the owner of Nike. And I tell you, if I hadn't been reading that book, I might not be here today because it was so, everything that was happening was so upsetting and so disappointing. But it was really reading that book at that time, understanding and knowing that that's just, consumer goods, it's manufacturing, it's production, it's, stuff's going to go wrong. And, it can eat you up inside, or you just like, okay, here's the problem. What's the solution? How am I going to make it happen? And you know what? You're going to upset people. Everybody. There was a lot of people who were upset that had pre-ordered things didn't get in on time. What am I going to do? So if I hadn't been reading that book at that time, it's hard to disappoint people, and it's hard to feel like things are beyond your control. And it's just a fact of, at least my business in manufacturing and production. And, so that was one book that I read. I usually have about 3 books going at all times. I usually do one more spiritual book, one more fun, silly book, and then usually one more business related. So I don't think you can ever read enough, especially according to supporting your own business area. So yeah, I'm a pretty avid reader and refer to other people books to help enhance understanding topics and things that I've been reading.
Excellent. So what's the best way to contact you, Cary?
Well, of course, anything to do with 21drops.com. You can go to our website. There's even a place to ask the expert. So if you have any personal questions about aromatherapy, Facebook, messaging, just about every social media outlet, we have a presence. And you can always email me directly at Cary, C-A-R-Y, at 21drops.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Any last thoughts?
No, I just really appreciate what the whole Mary and the whole crew at the Office Depot Foundation, the Women's Foundation, is doing. I think it's really commendable, and I'm just thrilled to participate. This is my first year, so I'm really, really excited to attend and be part of it.
Thank you. Well, I just want to thank you for being with us, Cary. I want to thank everyone who joined in watching the show. Be sure to go to womensymposium.officedepotfoundation.org for more information about the event and to register. And by the way, as a special guest of ours, because we are a media partner with Office Depot Foundation Women's Symposium, you can save 20% off your registration when you use E as in Edward, B as in boy, 20 at the checkout. And in addition to being a media partner for this event, you can join Women in E-commerce for only $47 with a special code. So when you listen in, you'll get that code. It'll be in the on the video itself, as well as in all the goodie bags when you attend the event. So I hope to see many of our listeners there, and I certainly am looking forward to meeting with you, Cary. And thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
You too. Take care. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.